To those in attendance, the Board of Public Works and Safety would like to welcome today any visitors online or anyone conducting business online as well. Roll call, please.
Mr. Markgraf.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Perez.
Here.
Any conflict of interest statements?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Approval of the minutes of the meetings of August 4th, 2022 and August 11th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bid openings. There are none. Matters from department heads or their representatives. Mr. Button, no? Mr. Smith?
I have to ask Mr. Button real quick. We do have one matter.
Okay.
So this came late in the day yesterday. Make sure I got my, yeah. The city of Hammond owns a small park area that has now been converted to right-of-way. It is where the old artwork rotunda structure was at Holman and Rimbach. Because it's owned by the civil city and we're converting it to right-of-way, we need to take that parcel and dedicate it as right-of-way. And so we had American Structure Point, who is on the Holman Avenue project, prepare a legal description, and we have, with the assistance of Mr. Westland, prepared a deed of dedication for the board's consideration to make that portion of the former park area as right-of-way, and so I present this to the board. The figure is on the last page, and it'll sort of clarify for you the area that we're discussing. This area that's coming right-of-way.
So this is a legal formality?
Yeah, it's a way for us to dedicate that. The city owns this parcel.
Got it.
So basically, you know, because Rimbach's now going to be straightened, it's not going to curve there, so all of a sudden we have street going through what used to be the park, and obviously part of that's right away.
Right.
That's what it's for.
Okay.
So it was a late addition yesterday, and I'm thankful that our council has agreed to move it forward at this meeting, so I appreciate your approval.
So we just need to approve the deed of dedication?
Yes,
is that
sir.
what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then I will make a motion to approve the deed of dedication.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving into correspondence, item A. Correspondence received from Mr. Dean Button, Capital Improvement Board, requesting $47,900 of CIB funding be allocated for the 165th and state line improvements and agreement for professional services with First Group Engineering submitted for approval.
As we're aware, the intersection at 165th and State Line is problematic, particularly if you're eastbound from River Oaks Drive coming into Hammond. It's not a turn; it's more of a kink in the road, right? And so, I have some work that I need to do to sort of petition Calumet City to make a few sign changes. But the concern here is that vehicles leave the motorway and drive onto the property if they're not paying attention. And we didn't really want to put a crash wall right up against the right-of-way because, you know, that could create problems for the driver, right? The driver could become severely injured. And so the plan is for us to hire First Group to do design engineering that would construct would design a guardrail system, and then the sidewalk, and then the barrier behind that to sort of slow the vehicle down before it ended up hitting the crash wall, and the crash wall would be further back to give the motorist time to sort of decelerate. And then on the shoulder of the eastbound lane of 165th, we want to build a concrete rumble area so that you'll feel that as you're departing the roadway. So it's it's almost like a rumble strip, but it's formed out of concrete. We've done that in a few locations years ago. I think of 173rd at Hammond going westbound. It used to be there, it's not there anymore. There are a couple other locations, but that sort of shoulder will help us, let the motorist know that it's uncomfortable, something's wrong if he's not paying attention.
I mean, right there, what's there right now, those big concrete construction
Yeah, there's
pylons,
some,
right?
they're just concrete blocks, right? They're like 6 by 2 foot square. They're sort of not very attractive.
Okay, got it.
And one of the early complaints that I had when I first started with the city was how ugly this entrance to our city is, and so it's our intent to try to make it look nicer than it is as today. So that Public Works would attest that the Welcome to Hammond sign has been hit a number of times, so much so that they've moved it about 200 feet to the east so that the car, it isn't in the path of a car leaving the motorway.
Okay.
So I would say that the city controller and the mayor and the capital improvements board then Monday night approved the funding allocation from CIV to pay for the design engineering, and we've reviewed their agreement and we'd recommend approval of each.
I think we've got all their signatures.
Okay, I will make a motion then to approve Mr. Button's request.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, correspondence received from Dean Button, city engineer, recommending that a new stop sign be installed on eastbound Cleveland Street and Howard Avenue, and requests the board's approval.
So we were asked by Councilman Tyler and others to do an intersection evaluation. We have a new camera that we can set up and watch the intersection for a period of time. I let it run for 24 hours. And the complaint has really been that eastbound traffic doesn't stop. The expectation is that they would, and the potential for crashes is pretty high there. And from my perspective, like if you were a southbound driver on Howard, you come to every intersection prior to this, and the one-way street stops, right? Every time. But when you get southbound to Cleveland, it doesn't stop. And so the driver's perception, particularly southbound, is that, well, the driver's going to stop, and if he doesn't, it could potentially cause a crash. And so it's for that reason that I'm asking that the board approve a stop sign on Cleveland, so it'd be eastbound or the west approach to Howard, be installed to sort of help with that. We'll have to add some striping for a stop bar to make it more visible, and we think that this is a good idea.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion then to approve Mr. Button's request for the stop sign.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, correspondence received from Milestone requesting permission to close the curbside lane of northbound Calumet Avenue south of Eaton Street for pavement patches scheduled for August 25th, 2022 and August 26th, 2022, submitted for approval.
Milestone's working on behalf of the Water Department. There are 3 patches you may notice in the right wheel path, northbound Calumet at Eaton Street, where 3 water services have been recently retired. Those patches are in pretty poor condition. And so the Water Department's hired Milestone to do this work. As you know, this is in state right-of-way, so we're asking that you make this as a matter of record, right? It's not our right-of-way, so we're just advising the board that this is happening in NDOT right-of-way. Milestone is submitted with the help of the engineering department to get the permits from NDOT. We expect to get those permits any day now. If that delays, then we'll re-advise the board on when the actual work will happen, but it's currently scheduled for next Thursday, Friday.
So this is an acknowledgement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Duly noted.
Thank you.
Milestone work for next week. Thank you. Item D, correspondence received from Casey Diamond requesting permission to hold a back-to-school event and requesting barricades at the street crossing at the corner of Sibley Street and Maywood Avenue North to Alley on August 20th, 2022, from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m.
Okay, church, book bags, school supplies. Yeah, I don't think it's, yeah, I think they've done this before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just forward it to Public Works for the barricades. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve Casey Diamond's request and also forward it to Public Works for the barricades that are requested.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item E, correspondence received from Travera Burks, 6142 Noble Avenue, requesting to have a block party and requesting barricades to block off Jennings Street from Ray Street to Noble Avenue on August 27th, 2022, from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. Jennings, that's on, from Ray Street to Noble.
Yeah,
Okay,
streets just
Mhm.
east of.
yeah, Columbia, right?
Yeah, Columbia.
Yeah.
Has you got any signatures on there? Or no?
Says it will not affect any neighbor around me. Unless it's just in the
Right in
front.
the
of it.
front there?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I will make a motion then to approve Ms. Burke's request and forward it to Public Works for the barricades.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item F, correspondence received from Vanessa Hunter Lopez requesting permission to hold a balloon release on August 24th, 2022, from 5:30 p.m. until 6:15 p.m. at the parking lot at 165th and Columbia in front of the reward billboard in honor of her son Jalen Hunter's first anniversary in heaven. Parking lot, 165th and Columbia. Is that city property, yeah?
No, it's not. I think if I'm not mistaken, that billboard is it's on the south side of 165th, kind of near the NIPSCO yard, I think.
Right,
Yeah, it's
right.
east of Columbia.
Yeah, unless they're going in the old Sturks parking lot, I guess it's what.
That's where it is?
No, I don't know. I don't think that's
Oh.
city property, unless
Councilman?
Dean's here.
Oh, Councilman Tyler,
Okay.
please.
Hi, Ms. Vanessa has been in contact with me about this, and she wants to use that old Starks parking lot. The reason she was putting it in front of the Board of Works was to just get traffic control, just in case there were issues with that, but she just wanted to, I think she spoke with Chief Short, and he recommended she come in front of you to request traffic control, just to make sure everybody is safe.
Yeah, I think BP owns that. She should probably maybe touch base with them if we can check the ownership on it. But, that billboard's kind of close to 165th, and people do kind of fly down there, so maybe there'd be EMA in that right lane, that eastbound lane. or
I'll
that
make sure,
southbound lane.
I'll make sure we have somebody there, yeah. Like you said, just shut off that one lane should probably keep us
Just for-
safe.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, sir.
Okay, then I will make a motion to approve Ms. Lopez's request, Hunter Lopez's request.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Matters from board members. Mr. Long?
Sure.
Mr. Perez?
Brouhaha. Oh, sorry.
Well, okay then. Let's get into new business. Item A, demolition hearings. First one being 3841 177th Street.
So, this is an interesting one. It's owned by Mr. Alan Rutledge. I don't know if he's here today.
Here.
Yes, he is,
Yes.
okay. So, 3841 177th, Mr. Rutledge lives next door at 3845. There was a fire at 3841. There's a small home and an accessory structure, or in a garage. It's my understanding through talking with both Mr. Farrell and Mr. Kearney that, these are current photos, that Mr. Rutledge has pulled permits to repair the structure, the former home structure at 3841, into a workshop for him. He's also combining the parcels. So it's the city's position that the construction of the workshop is going along great, and it's almost done. So at this time, the city's not going to take any action on the demolition, and we believe it's going to be finished in the near future. Mr. Farrell has good confidence in Mr. Rutledge's work, and we're just going to, withdraw the request for a demolition order. So just keep doing what you're doing. You have, and Mr. Rutledge, you're free to address the board if you need to, or if you want to.
I hope they take it off.
Yeah.
My head since I got the permit.
Yep.
So do we need to make a motion to withdraw the request or the demolition order?
Actually, the inspections department is withdrawing the request, so I don't think you need to take any action.
Anything? Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. So no action?
No action.
No action? Okay. 4407 Baltimore Avenue.
All right, this has been around a while. You may recall at 4407 Baltimore, when we had it originally back in 18 or 19, trying to see when the original order was. This was set for October 31st of 2019. Mr. Garza was in the property. He has since passed away this January, and I believe his son is the personal representative of the estate, Ruben Garza. Is there anybody here on 4407 Baltimore? Resting? Ready, Mr. Garza? Yeah, that's all right. No, that's all right. Your time. All right, so I was just explaining that your dad passed away in January, right? And Mr. Garza is the representative of the estate. Here's some current photos of the property. Does that look familiar?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it? Okay, so I'm going to show the board those photos. I just want to make sure this is all accurate. Those truly and accurately depict the condition of the property currently, correct? Okay, yes, you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so
Let's try to get him out of the house.
here's the current state of the property. As the board's aware, it was a kind of a tough situation with Mr. Garza's dad while it was going on.
Yeah.
It's still in kind of a pretty bad shape. It's the city's position that we'd like to enter the demolition order. And I'd like to hear from Mr. Garza what his intention is with the property.
I have a purchase agreement here. The house is being sold, like any day.
Do you know you have an obligation under Indiana law to let them know that it's under a demolition order?
Yes.
Just so they know
I've
that,
done
right?
it. Yes, yes, sir.
So do you have the new ownership information?
This is what the realtor gave
Yeah,
me.
we can, if you could
Okay.
leave that with us, we want to get a copy of that.
Okay, great.
Right, and then what we'll do is, we still want the order affirmed. You need to let them know that there's a demolition order on the property.
They got that.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's key. Do you have any objection to the demolition order? Do you have anything, information you want to present to the board at this time?
They want to see the house. They got their contractors ready, and as soon as the title, as soon as they get the title.
If we approve the order, there's still a time frame for this sale to happen possibly, and then the house.
Still got to
be
bid it
saved?
out. The new
Right,
owner will get
right,
notice.
Right. And so that's a time period, right?
They'll pay for double inspection to get that, and then the rehab agreement.
Okay, so we're going to affirm the order, but you have time for your business here with the sale of the home and whatnot to hopefully come through.
Okay, great.
So just make sure we get a copy of who's,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know what's
okay.
going on.
So,
I'm a little new at this, so.
all right, we'll just write that down.
Okay. You guys good then?
Just hang out, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll get it back to you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion then to approve the demolition order for 4407 Baltimore.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 1414 Calumet Avenue.
1414 Calumet Avenue is the old Paradise Bar near Five Points on the northwest
Corner there.
Yeah.
corner near there. I think it's also called The Point. Currently owned by Red 8 LLC, 5 Points from Crown Point. Dimitri Panos is the registered agent. We do have good service. The property's vacant. Work began in 2020 on there. It looked like there was some interior demo work, but no inspections were called in. Water's been off since 2019. It is a brick building. I've got some current photos on that. Is anybody here for that property? Hi, come on up. If you could just identify yourself so that we have it on the record and what relationship you have to Red 8 LLC hyphen 5 Points.
Yep, I'm attorney Sarah Booth from the law firm of Efron and Efron. I represent Mr. Dimitri Panos.
Okay. And Sarah, do you know, is your client here? Do you want to
Yes,
represent?
he is.
Do you want to see if he's believes those are true and accurate depictions of the current condition of the property?
Yes.
Yep, good. Okay, I'm just going to show the board that. So I believe these are based on Mr. Panos agreeing that we believe these are true and accurate depictions of the current state of the property. Mr. Kearney also has a report on this.
There was a 10-day abatement notice for cut and clean and some trash and that needed to be picked up on that property. It was tagged on the property itself. I don't know if you have seen it or not. I don't do contractors that are sitting out there yet. If you take care of it, we won't have to.
And that's separate, Sarah, from this.
So with the cut and clean, I did notice the weeds that were grown were on the other property, not on ours, so it was on the other side, everything within our area.
If you see there's pictures, there's some trash and that needs to be taken care of.
And that's separate from the demo order.
Yeah.
Right.
I just kind of as an aside, right, you just want to make sure he knows about that, okay. So, yeah, the city's position on this is that it's remained vacant for a long time. It's kind of in a state of disrepair. It's unsightly. It's on a main drag in the city. I'm not sure about Mr. Panos' plans for the property. However, our position is that given the condition of the property as presented to it, I can have Mr. Kearney testify if need be, Mr. Button as well, that we would like to have the demolition order affirmed. So, and of course, I'll turn it over to Ms. Booth and let her give any information or testimony or evidence she'd like.
Mr. Panos does have a plan to demo the building already because he wants to redevelop that property. We have been in communication with Ann Anderson from the city as to how to redevelop it and what will most benefit Hammond. So we are in the process of tearing down that building. He's already talked to a couple of companies to get bids on how much that will cost. So what we're asking for is just maybe about 2 more months at least to give him more time to figure out exactly what he wants to do with that property based on what the city feels would be best for them, and then allow him to knock down that building and start his new project all at the same time instead of knocking it down now and then waiting to rebuild on the property.
Yeah, so I guess the city's response to that would be, entering the demolition order and affirming the demolition order today doesn't mean that it's going to get knocked down next week. We still have to bid it, and that usually will take 6 to 8 weeks as well anyway. So we like to keep the process moving forward in case the owner, sells it, like Mr. Garza, they sold the property, and we'd have to deal with somebody else. So from the city's perspective, we always like to keep the process moving forward. Nothing's going to happen until that next notice goes out about the bid, and you'll get that as well. That's usually 6 to 8 weeks down the road. And he'll still have time after that, because you have to open the bids up, they have to be awarded, and then...
And I would suspect that if we're getting close to the timeline, his 2-month timeline and the demo timeline.
Oh, yeah, we much
and
prefer an owner to not.
There's positivity coming from him. The city's going to work with you to see, obviously, that you're going to continue the demo work and hopefully to redevelop the property.
Yeah, we prefer that the owner demos it, because then the city doesn't have to expend funds and can expend it on other properties. So we just do like to have the process continue to move forward in case the owner doesn't come through. And I'm not saying he won't. It seems like he looks like he wants to do it, and that's great. So that'd be the city's position to affirm it.
Any contractors?
And stay the demolition of the order pending the bid.
Do you understand, Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Panos, you understand that part?
What was that last part?
Yeah.
Just about, we want to continue to keep the process moving forward, because what's happened in the past, we've stopped the process, and then, people like you were not able possibly to continue in getting the work done, so then we would have to start from square one. We're just trying to keep it moving forward, and it sounds like it's going to hopefully happen for you to where we can redevelop the property. And
Sure, so we can still get the bids ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
yes, absolutely, yes. And you obviously Kelly just gave you his business card, so if there's communication back and forth, That's gonna help tremendously. All right. Anything further?
Not for me.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, then I'm going to make a motion to approve the demolition order for 1414 Calumet Avenue.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 940 Field Street, front and rear.
All right, 940 Field Street. The owner appears to be Clarence Collins, but there's also a personal representative, Linda Paul, out of Gurnee, Illinois. I also have a San Antonio, Texas address for Mr. Collins. I'm not sure if anybody is here for this property, 940 Field Street? 940 Field. Okay. We have some substantial concerns. I'll show the board the current photos of the property. You can see the roof is caved in. It's in pretty poor condition. Looks to be a brick structure that hasn't been painted in a long time. The electric meter's been pulled. There are no gutters, and the roof's in absolutely horrible condition. The concern the city has is that it appears to be occupied without electric or gas or water. So I guess number one, I would just advise, or just give the police a heads up that that is happening. Second, we'd like to affirm the demolition order given the condition of the property. We do have good service. So I would request the order be affirmed as presented.
Okay, I will make a motion then to affirm the demolition order, and also I will forward it to the police department for their knowledge.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 3924 Henry Avenue.
3924 Henry was up last week, actually. I think someone was here from Four Pillars, maybe? Does that?
KDC Investments LLC?
Yeah, we had a rehab agreement.
Oh.
That should be in your documents. Linda said it's under C, I think. It's okay. I think we put it both. We put it on both ways.
Okay.
Because it was already
Got
noticed
it.
for a demo.
Okay.
So, you know, we have a rehab agreement, but we'd also like to enter the order just so we have it in case the rehab doesn't go through. So,
Got it.
given the condition of the property, I've got some photos if the board would like to see those. And we're hopeful that the new owners are going to proceed with the rehab. So, but we would request that the order be entered, affirmed as presented.
The demolition order.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I will make a motion to affirm the demolition order for 3924 Henry.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And, Mr. President, would you like to just go ahead and do the rehab agreement since we're on that property, or do you want to wait till
No, we
it's
can
agenda spot?
Do it right now.
Okay.
Sure.
So again, on 3924 Henry, we'd request that the rehab agreement, which I believe is signed by the new owners, be signed by the
It
board.
is. Okay.
So we're approving that?
Yep.
Okay, I will make a motion then to approve the rehab agreement for the property located at 3924 Henry.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then because we have a rehab agreement, so could we set that for status for 90 days?
See, where are we at here? 90. 1, 2, 3. November 10th, 17th, right? When is one of those?
17th sounds good.
Okay. I will make a motion to set for status to November 17th, 2022.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving back to demos, 4750 Hickory Street.
4750 Hickory is owned by Tommy Culver, who I believe has passed away. We did also notice his personal representative of Brian Higginbotham. I'm not sure if anybody's here for 4750 Hickory. 4750 Hickory. All right, real quick, the condition of the property. Did you give me photos on that? Thanks, Kelly. Is that given the condition of the property and the fact that no one appears, we do have good service, I'd request the order be affirmed as presented.
Good. Okay, I will make a motion to affirm the demolition order for 4750 Hickory Street.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Forty-seven fifty-one Oak Avenue.
All right, 4751 Oak, we show it owned by a Francisco Luna. There are exemptions on the property, however, the electric and gas meter are pulled, there's like a homestead on it. Water's been off since 2016. Front steps are falling apart, the weeds are overgrown, including at the alley. Appears to be a wood structure covering. There's holes in the roof, and the eaves and gutters are in very poor condition. The windows are rotting and broken. Here's some photos. Is anyone here on that property address? 4751 Oak. All right, no one appears. We do have good service. I'd request the order be affirmed as presented.
This was Oak, right? Yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion to affirm the demo order for 4751 Oak.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 15 Ruth Street, rear.
Okay, 15 Ruth, we show it owned by Augusta and Deborah Kelly. Is anybody here on 15 Ruth? Okay, I'd like to show the board some photos. The top one is a current photo, and then there's some other photos in the back showing the condition before. Mr. Kearney informed me that the rear structure has been self-demoed, which is where the roof had collapsed. The wall was leaning in, we were worried about it being a hazard if it fell. There's some broken windows. The front porch appears to be in very poor condition, including the ramp. The boarded up areas were in the back, and the tarp was over the roof, but that was on the accessory structure, which is down. I'd like to, you want to set the demo, or do you want to set it over for status? On the back?
For status and meetings.
Okay, so at this time, the city is not going to move forward with its request for demo because the city is aware of the fact that they've self-demoed the back structure and they're monitoring it. So if we could have a status for this in 90 days for that 11/17 date, I think that'd be appropriate, and we'll determine at that time whether we're going to go forward with the demo.
Okay, then I will make a motion to set this over for status to November 17th, 2022.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's almost close to December 31st.
Yeah.
4315 Toll Avenue.
All right,
Todd
4315
Hughes.
Toll, Todd Hughes. Anybody here for a toll? All right, water's been off since '06. There are some exemptions on the property. The garage roof has holes. There appears to be a broken window in poor condition and holes in the side of the house. There's a car with Illinois plates in an old van. The porch is in terrible condition. I will show the board these photos. Maybe you can request that PD make a proposal there regarding the abandoned vehicles. We'd request, no one appears, we would request the order be entered as presented, given the condition of the property, and we do have good service.
Okay, I will make a motion then to affirm the demolition order for 4315 Toll, and I will make sure the police department's aware of the vehicles.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Letter B, order to rescind findings and order for 6435 Grand Avenue submitted for approval.
Yes, this is a property we would request that the order be rescinded. I believe it's being transferred, and there's going to be a new home built on there, so.
Nice.
Okay, make a motion then to approve the order to rescind for 6435 Grand Avenue.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item C has been taken care of. Item D, right-of-way permits 4 submitted for approval from the engineering department. Yes, Mr. Gordish.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
The three major ones that I have, and they're not really major to begin with, is Sheffield and Holman and Michigan. They're doing some pothole work for the utilities for the train. So that's not a big deal. It's an hour worth of work. They're gonna have flag people, so forth, so forth. So that should be taken care of. The second one is the Monon Trail closure and detour from Douglas to Humpher. It's sitting right next to where they're excavating for the tracks. The trail is with just a snow fence, and they have had issues with pedestrians slash bike riders coming through and getting very close and going through there. So they would like to close that for the safety of the residents, because they are excavating approximately 4 to 5 foot down right next to the trail. And there's just a snow fence.
By you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the third one should be interesting to Mr. President. 173rd and Lyman.
Yeah.
The closure there needs to be extended to approximately 9/30th. They have determined that it's necessary to case the utilities going underneath the tracks.
9:30, like September 30th?
September 30th.
Oh, wow.
So, sorry it
Are they
affects
actually
you.
doing work on this? Are they actually doing anything on that crossing? Because I just see a lot of gates, but I don't see like a lot of action.
On 73rd?
Gates and lights flashing.
They blocked it off very well, but they
Yes,
haven't
they're-
really been working on it.
They're excavating there and so forth, and they have to cut the pipe to put the sleeve through underneath.
Right.
And there's a lot of dust, and we have discussed the dust issue in the area. Mr. Novak brought that to our attention yesterday. So that's going to be taken care of. So
And so they need the extension for, just for my general knowledge.
they determine there needs to be a casing that the pipes are going to be slipped through, a metal casing
Okay.
underneath the tracks, which is a typical construction procedure for tracks.
I'm guessing because of the soil or whatever that's there?
It's probably the depth of it,
Oh.
I would imagine, is an issue.
Oh, because it's not going as deep as maybe they would like, so they need something to protect it, right?
The train's not that heavy, right? They don't want a break to happen underneath the track and
No, I
wash
wouldn't
out
want
the
that
track.
either.
So they put the pipe in a casing.
Yeah.
And then it leaks out the ends and doesn't affect the track.
Okay, but
And-
they didn't know this
I was gonna
until,
ask the same thing. How did they discover this in the middle of,
right,
like after they already asked for just for a 2-week closure? Now they need a,
okay.
I can't answer that
not
either.
that you
Okay.
guys would have.
No, no, you could just let them know that we just got those
Why they were
questions.
Dumb enough to ask for a 2-week closure,
Well,
wanted 8 weeks now.
I can make comments, but I'd rather not.
Can we find out where they live and we'll close their block down for,
Well, one lives in Texas, so,
Well,
Road trip.
okay, understood.
okay.
let them
Anything
know
further?
how excited the board was about it.
Anything further?
No, I would recommend action be taken into positive favor of this.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I will make a motion to approve the right-of-way permits.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Man, gas, $5 a gallon, I mean, I gotta go all the way into Munster now.
Crazy. You know,
Item E, disposal authorization submitted for approval by the Hammond Police Department.
fine organization.
Mark, you said what date? September 30th? Is that what you said?
Okay.
No brouhaha coming from me with that comment, Dave.
That was a brouhaha.
That was definitely a brouhaha. Got a little crazy there for a second. I will make a motion to approve the disposal authorizations.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, oops. Plat of the Woodmar Sports Facilities addition submitted for approval. You got it, Brian?
I have the Mylars back here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. We're still waiting for the ink to dry on something, so we were careful.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, submitted for your approval is the Woodmar Sports Facilities Edition. This is a 2-lot subdivision for the property at 6600 Indianapolis, which we know by various names as the Sportsplex property, the Woodmar Mall property, the Carson's property. The purpose of the subdivision is to create the separate lot for the YMCA project.
Okay. Then I will make
All
a
right, sir.
motion to approve the plat of the Woodmar Sports Facility Edition.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Poland.
Thank you.
Garage sale permit submitted for approval.
2 days. 2 days. He's got 2 days going on.
2 days, baby.
No
Okay.
rain?
No. I will make a motion to approve the garage sale permits.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on into old business. Letter A, status 7508 Birch Avenue.
So this is set for status today. I don't know if Mr. Kearney or any of the inspectors have an update. I have a note in here back from July that there was an issue with some permits, but I thought that when Mr. Driscoll, remember Mr. Driscoll was on the Zoom a couple weeks ago, and I think everything was worked out, so maybe Mr. Farrell has something to report. Or, I'm sorry, Mr. Kearney does.
Mr. Burrow is telling me that there's a cut and clean order on it. Property hasn't been cut, and there's been no movement at this point. It says it has been.
Yeah, so we have a rehab agreement that expired, well, it was entered in April 28th, which is why it was set for status, I believe, in July, because we usually set it after the 90 days. So I'm not sure if I know that Mr. Driscoll indicated that he thought work was being done on it. They were having some trouble getting permits.
So the rehab agreement was signed in April.
Correct, it
We
expired.
put it status 90 days out.
There,
And-
I believe there was an issue with the rehab agreement, the approved rehab agreement being conveyed to our department, so we could update our notes, and that the bond, that there was a site performance bond on file. So subsequently, since that had occurred in the rehab agreement, the approved rehab was forwarded to our attention. The electrician did come in and obtain the permit. However, we haven't received any calls for inspections as far as the work being done. Jason, who is the district inspector, indicated that there is an active cut and clean on the property. So we are having a vendor go to the location to cut the property, the overgrowth once every 3 weeks. And as far as the exterior, we haven't seen any improvements.
So there is permits pulled for the electric.
Correct, yes.
You know, it's up to you guys if you wanted to go ahead and do the cut and clean order on it. I mean, usually if Mr. Driscoll's usually pretty responsive, but I get whatever you guys want to do. It's
I don't have a problem with Mr. Driscoll, he was very responsive and we to his client.
Yeah, I'll send him a quick email, or and I'll copy you guys on it, and then we'll see if that goes. So maybe what we'll do is set this for status for another 60 days, and then we'll see where we're at in October.
October 13th, is that okay?
Good for you? Yeah, okay.
Okay, then I will make a motion to set 7508 Birch for status to October 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item B, status, residential parking at 2600 and 2700 blocks of 162nd Street or Place, Councilman? I'm not even sure there is a place. It's probably
There
just a
is,
street.
yeah,
Oh, there is.
I think there's a place, yeah.
Yeah, good morning again.
Good morning.
I know this was brought to your attention some time ago, but just wanted to just follow up and just say that the residents, I'm not sure if they submitted the petitions. You guys have copies of that?
I have not seen anything like that.
Okay.
So I'm glad you're kind of here because you can kind of give us the feedback they're giving you
Yeah.
as to why they're seeking this.
So there's a few different reasons. One, there's always been issues in terms of people trying to go to Lindy's when the parking lot is maybe filled and taking up parking spots towards the end of that block,
Right.
towards Kennedy Avenue. And then the second issue is that there's a lot of renters on that block who have not switched over their plates to Indiana. And so the thought that this would, one, I guess in a sense, like they don't know what people actually live on that block versus who is visiting. But with that street being so narrow and there's just not a ton of parking. And so they're looking for solutions to try to rectify that situation. And part of it is, like I said, renters who have not switched over their plates so they can't identify who lives there and who doesn't. So they're hoping to get residential parking and encourage those renters to switch over so that they can then identify who lives there and who doesn't.
Do you know if we've ever done any enforcement over there as far as running plates and stuff? We have?
Yes, and that's part of the reason why they're submitting this is because what they were told is that it's tough for you guys to do that, of course, because you come through You might tag a car, but then that car, is moved or disappears for a couple of days, and then the same cars are coming back. So there's been attempted enforcement, but they're still having the same issues.
Well, I know I've personally, Lindy's parking lot is very tight, as you know, it's hard to get in and out, so I've parked on 162nd many times to go in Lindy's, so I know what you're talking about, so I don't know, do we,
I mean, obviously, Jeff can tell you, obviously, with the residential signs, in order for it to be enforced through PD, they're gonna have to go down and get stickers or something for their car to identify them as a homeowner versus someone who may rent. Okay, so they know all that.
Yep.
Okay.
does anybody have any objection then?
Can you clarify, is this 162nd Street or Place?
Street, I think it's street, right, where Lindy's is, yeah.
Yeah, that's all, please clarify for that. Thank you.
Okay, we good then?
Anything further, Councilman?
Not regarding that, but I do have another, but I'll wait for.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion then to approve the resident parking only for 2600 and 2700 blocks of 162nd Street.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Okay, rental registration hearings, there are none. Item 12, meetings open to the public. Anybody signed in, care to speak? Okay.
All right, so I think you all have been made aware of a request for handicap parking at 5843 Columbia Avenue. It went in front of Gary and his team, and it was originally declined because the resident does have a driveway. But the issue there is that I know in some instances people have been able to appeal those decisions under special circumstances, and that's why we're here today. Ms. Delia Turks is here to share more information about her situation, but I can tell you that she lives on Columbia Avenue, and it's tough for her to pull out sometimes.
East side, right?
Yeah, it's tough for her to pull out sometimes because there's a lot of traffic up and down Columbia. So she's just asking for a designated handicap parking space in front of her house to make it easier for her to get in and get out of that parking space, and of course get in and get out of the car to get into her home too. So, anything else you want to share?
Sir, I'm sure we do that, we do that in other parts of the city, right?
Task to the Department Head of Public Works, Gary Gleason.
To forward it to him?
We have so many issues regarding handicap parking versus people that have driveways. So I believe we should refer that to him. And he
Okay.
can
Yeah, but I think Councilman Tyler, he just mentioned that he's already ran this by
Yeah,
the Director of Public Works, right?
I guess I should also add, part of the reason I'm here today is because I've had a conversation with Phil Talon about this situation, and the thought is now that these issues might come in front of you all instead of going to that other department. So right now, it seems like there's just one person making those kind of blanket decisions. And to be more fair to residents who have special circumstances, they want to bring this in front of you all to make a decision as a board to decide, I guess, like in a sense, if they qualify or not. We're also, I think, looking into more of this to make sure it's just fair across the board. And I think having more perspectives instead of just one person making that decision would be helpful in making sure it's equitable for all of our residents.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it also allows the board to refer to police or engineering or requests of that nature, determine whether or not the other residents of the street, usually for residential parking, I think we also, if it's the whole street, we canvass the street or get a petition.
Right, correct.
Yeah, so
Right.
I think Councilman Tyler's right, that it's good to have it before the board, because this board can then check with other departments to see if it's, a good idea or not, or get other input. But
I assume she does not have a driveway, is that correct?
She does.
She does, because
She
that was one
does.
of the drawbacks before with handicap parking only, if she has a driveway.
yeah, so I guess now that I've heard the councilman and understand what's going on, it reminds me of why Mr. Talon decided that it should go before the board. I guess there's a standing, unwritten, I don't want to call unwritten rule, but I guess policy that if there is a driveway, that they usually don't give residential parking. that might need
Hiccups, Mike?
looking into a little bit, just to confirm, maybe talk to the resident, take a look at the property, and make a determination. I think probably the best.
Can we get a week, maybe? Can we maybe set it for status to next week or something? Just give us some time to look at it? I'm not saying personally, me personally is opposed to it, but I do know the driveway thing was an issue before, so I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. That's
I agree, yeah, I agree, and that's,
Yeah,
I
1 week?
think, Councilman Tyler mentioned, I think that's the benefit of being
43.
So is that fair, Councilman?
Yeah, I believe that's fair. I think I should also say that I am in support of this. Her and I, Ms. Turks and I have had several different conversations about this issue, and she's actually been driving around and doing her due diligence, identifying residents that also have a driveway and a residential parking, a handicap parking spot. And I originally was told that there was only 2 within the entire city, but I feel like there's quite a bit more that she's been able to identify and that I've also driven by.
Good to know.
And I'm not sure if I don't know, of course, like what special circumstances those residents have to be able to get it approved, but I just want to make sure that, once again, like Kevin shared, that we're just looking at this with an equitable lens and applying the same consideration to all of our residents.
Do you have a list, ma'am?
Yes, I have some.
Can we
You want to
get a
read them
copy
off,
of the
or
list?
Councilman Tyler read them off, or whoever, yeah, whatever's easier for you.
Because I agree, Kevin. I think whatever those special circumstances are, I would like to know so we are doing it fair across the board.
True.
So, yeah, yeah.
So the 2 that she has now was 7120 Jefferson, and then
7120 Jefferson?
7120 Jefferson,
Okay.
and that 7218, is that also Jefferson? 7218 Jefferson.
Okay.
Give me
The
one
Becker one, I
second.
think I knew about.
There's also one at 1121 Eaton, which is one of the ones that was identified previously. And then there's also 2, so some of these, I will say I drove past, and it's not easy to figure out what is considered a driveway versus a path that somebody could park on the side of their house, so maybe that is part of it. But the other 2 that I have are 835 Morris and 833 Merrill.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, if it's not a driveway, they're not supposed to be driving on the side.
833 Merrill.
Yeah, Councilman, when you were talking to her, we were talking to Kevin about, we need to find out what those circumstances are so that we do, because we do want to be fair across the board. So I'd like to know personally what they are, so,
Yeah, so give us a week and we'll check it out.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
You don't even know if those people are still living, if they do have the handicap, but they could have been passed on and the handicap sign is still there. I don't have a problem with not having it, but it's difficult for me to pull out of my driveway and I'm on Columbia, because there's one on Eaton, they got a driveway and the handicap sticker, and that guy talking about he can't back out. Eaton is in no way busy like Columbia is.
Couldn't agree more, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point, right? I mean, at some point, these, I'm sure, at some point they expire, right? I mean, if someone passes on and you don't have
Exactly.
you don't have the ADA issues there, then they should be pulled, so.
I'm not trying to, this is just what I'm thinking.
No, I think it's-
No, understood.
Who's in there, or if the person is still living, and then the sign is still there. And then somebody like myself can really use it, and they're not even there.
Well, I like your argument about how busy it is on Columbia. I live on 169th, and it's dangerous for me to back out of my driveway, so I understand what you're saying, so,
Glad. Thank you.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So
sorry.
I think you're going to expect some input from me, and on the face of it, it sounds very reasonable. Can we understand better from your perspective on the reason for having it? It's part in part due to Columbia Avenue
Right.
being busy, right?
Yes.
Do you pull into your driveway and then
I can
have to
pull in
back
and then I
out?
gotta back out slow or hope and pray ain't nothing coming, because the other cars are parked on the front. I can't see.
And are you the driver of the vehicle when that
Yes.
happens?
Personally,
And so when if you were to park on the street, that would not be a problem for you to enter the vehicle, and then
I
you
get
would
it.
just
That's what
pull away
Right.
from the curb line and go away. I think hearing from the resident and why this may or may not be a good idea.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Button.
Thank you.
Anything further, ma'am? No, sir. Thank you for your time. Councilman?
I do have one more request. The residents in the 1,000 and 1,100 blocks of Highland are requesting residential parking only as well. Of course, that's right across the street from MLK Park, and they get a lot of people who are visiting the park, taking up their parking spots. A lot of those residents don't have driveways, and so they're requesting that we just add residential parking along that side of the park. I believe they have it in the 1,100 block of Lions. But as of right now, there's no residential parking along Highland Street. And of course, there is only parking allowed on the south side of Highland.
So we're just looking at the 1,100 block?
The 1,000, the 1,000 block and the 1,100 block, both blocks. And I do have a,
Okay, so from Tapper going east?
yeah,
Yeah, to Columbia.
Are there cutouts on that side or just on the line?
no, just on the right side.
On the north side.
The one at the very end of the 1,100 block, it kind of starts curving off a little bit, so, yeah. What's your thoughts on resident, we're always afraid of, you know, restricting too much parking in our city, but I understand what he's saying. Do you have an argument about it either way?
Generally, to me, parking is sort of a case-by-case basis, right? It's more of a neighborhood situation, and I can sympathize with the residents if they have no ability to park in front of their house to, when the park is a great facility and asset to the city. I just wonder back to you, how do you police that, right? I mean, is it residents that live on that block? Is it Hammond residents? How do you determine who is allowed to park there and who's not?
Well, they would have to come in and prove that they live in those 200 blocks. We're talking about 1,000 and 1,100 blocks.
They would come to the police
Come
department?
to the police department, they get a sticker, we would be able to monitor it that way. So if somebody comes home, they see a car there, they call us. If they don't have the sticker, we ticket them.
And it's just a sticker. So if I had a sticker in my neighborhood, could I park in this location? Or
No.
is the stickers assigned to that particular block?
Assigned to that particular block.
I see.
We would take the time to run that plate. If you had a sticker, run that plate to make sure it comes back to one of those 200 blocks.
I got you, thank
we
you.
would do, yeah.
I was sort of unclear on that because other conditions are happening around the town, and I didn't realize that was an option for the city to offer, right?
Yeah, let's say your car's there with that sticker, and I show up because Councilman Tyler complains that you're there. He would say, nope, they don't live there. I would just run your plate. If you get your address, I'm going to write you a ticket then.
Gotcha.
Because it doesn't come back.
I think I'm really happy to hear that we have that capability in the city, so.
Okay, thank you.
The last thing I'll share is that if there's questions about how much parking is there at MLK, I know we do have the cutouts on Lions, and there is a project eventually that'll happen that will even add more parking for park access. That'll take in between Lions and Highland along Tapper. There's going to be diagonal parking on both sides. Dean, would you say an additional like 15 to 20 additional parking spots there? So,
All right. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Do we need to motion for 5843 Columbia or the 1,000, 1,100 blocks of Highland?
We're doing a one-week status for
Yeah.
5843 Columbia.
So we're good on that?
We didn't do the one-week status, did we?
No, and we didn't do are we going to approve the resident-only parking for 1,000, 1,100 Highland?
Well, don't we have to, is everybody, Councilman Tyler, real quick, Councilman Torres, bear with me. The residents of these two blocks, they obviously must be in favor of the residential-only parking. Okay, so let's go back and do those.
Okay, so in reference to 5843 Columbia Avenue, in reference to the handicap parking sign request, I'm going to set that for status to next week's meeting, which is August 25th.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
That's my motion.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then in reference to the 1,000 block and 1,100 block of Highland resident-only parking, I'm going to make a motion to approve that request.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Councilman Torres.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I just have to, boarding house request, 1135 Truman. The front is boarded. Residents are reporting vagrants are getting through the back. So if you can check that out. And 713 Sibley that's not boarded at all, as far as I can see, and it's reported the vagrants are getting in there. So,
Both are vagrants? Yep. Okay, I will
Okay,
I'll
thank
take
you.
care of both of those, Councilman.
all right.
I'll forward that to the board up.
I'm less
No,
You're
thank you.
welcome,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
very much.
You
Thank
too.
You as well.
Hello, Gary
Gary, what's-
Sheriff. Good
Gary, how are
morning.
you?
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
6700 block of Alexander. We've got a situation where Nickel Plate Street is getting just way overgrown with trees, bushes, all kinds of stuff. And there's also a alleyway, I believe it's an alleyway, it's 15 feet wide, goes between Alexander and McCook, about 6718 would be the address. So it's on the west side of Alexander. And the stuff is overgrown so bad, trees, it's never been maintained. And I don't know if they got casino money set aside, because I know Howard's done things previous. My councilman, Dave Warple, has tried last 3 years getting something done, but when COVID hit, things got slowed down. So I don't know if you guys can go forward and get that cleaned up.
Is
it
it
a
garbage
mess?
and vegetation or
It's
just
vegetation that's growing and it's growing wider and wider. The apartment building is on the south side of this roadway. Like I say, basically it's probably an alleyway from McCook to that, because when they redid McCook, they did pour a concrete slab curbing going toward that alley. And I know the lady that lives in that corner there, that alley, she would like to have it cleared up. What we're afraid of is, here a few weeks ago, we had a police presence there around 1 a.m. My cameras recorded it. And I don't know if they're looking for somebody, and people are afraid, we got a lot of elderly in my block, that people are going to hide out there. And we wondered if that happened that particular night, possibly, because it's easier for somebody to hide out.
City property?
It is city property. You can look up in GIS. It is city Hammond property. So, and NIPSCO did clear out some stuff.
Yeah.
They did do that because they were doing work on the lines, replacing poles and stuff.
Okay.
So, the other thing is on the street itself. I know we've been trying to get it redone and the project's been on hold, but what's happened now is in the middle of the street, there is a depression, and I think it's the sewer. It's probably falling underneath. It's getting worse and worse. If cars will actually hit that dip and will scrape, their cars, the bottom of the cars. At some point, if this thing collapses, somebody's going to get hurt or even killed possibly if this thing does completely fail. But it's in the middle of the block. And like I say, the street is getting worse and worse, just decaying apart. It's getting so bad. I'm getting people telling me about it, and I'm, So I don't know anything more until it gets completely rebuilt. I'm looking at it. Okay, so, yeah, I hope it's, we got elderly and disabled people on our block and everything, and even my sidewalk. On the west side of Alexander, the sidewalk's not that bad, but the east side where I'm at, the sidewalk is really bad. It's, 4 or 5 inch, settling and this and that. And I got a neighbor that uses a little disability mobility device, and, he can't even use that side, because of that. It's getting so bad. Okay. So, anyway, just make you aware of it.
All right.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Mr. Pohl.
Hi, I have a question, and I know I could ask this question separately from this meeting, but I think there might be some people who might be interested in my question. In that discussion about residential parking, partially because there's been a petition floating around on my block about getting residential parking.
Right.
With the stickers for the residents, how does it work when you have guests? Do they get a temporary sticker?
They have, they're actually, they're not stickers, they're cards.
Okay.
We hand them out for the fest sometimes when they have guests coming. They're actually a card they can put on their dash when they're a visitor. It says resident-only parking visitor, so we do have those, but they would have to go to the police department Monday to Friday to get those.
Okay, so would a homeowner be able to have like a supply of them?
That, I don't know how we would do that, Brian, to be honest with you, because we don't want them obviously having some, they're handing them out like, you know, candy or anything.
Like candy, yeah.
So that's something we probably should address, like how many we hand out and how often we hand them out. That's something we probably should address.
Okay, all right, well,
So,
thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Sir, anything further? Okay. Okay, let's see where we at. Meeting open to the public, nobody else? Okay, Mr. Long,
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.